In Activity 3, Comparing Objects by Size, students use their senses to compare big and little objects to investigate the property of size. The students then sort and group objects by size. From the kit, you will need Activity Sheet 3, circle blocks, counting chips, peacock feathers, pheasant feathers, small paper clips, large paper clips, large pine cones, small pine cones, and plastic trays. You will also need to provide assorted pairs of objects, one large and one small, such as containers, crayons, cutout shapes, rubber bands, and straws, small paper bag, and a large cardboard box. To prepare for the activity, make a copy of Activity Sheet 3 for each student. Put together a tray for each team containing 5 or 6 pairs of objects, one large and one small of each item, and include pine cones, paper clips, feathers, and circles from the kit. Make sure to have an additional tray prepared to use as an example as you demonstrate the activity and lead the discussion. To begin the activity, review with the class the word property and the specific properties of shape, color, and texture. During your review, refer to the properties experience chart you made in Activity 2. Next, show the class the large cardboard box and the small paper bag you have brought to class. Try to put the box in the bag. Ask students, "Why can't I put the box in the bag?" Students will probably use the words big and little to explain why the box won't fit. Explain that when students describe how big or little an object is, they are describing the property of size. Add size to the properties experience chart begun in Activity 2, along with any descriptive size words the students may have used to describe the box and bag. Invite students to name some big objects and some little objects. Begin a big and little experience chart and record students' suggestions. Students may suggest that some objects can be big and little, such as rocks or toys. Distribute the trays of objects and give students time to examine the objects. After students have examined the objects, ask them to share their observations. The students should have noticed that the tray contains 2 of each kind of object. Next, have students match and compare the pairs of objects. For example, have students find the pine cones on their trays and ask, "How are your pine cones different?" Again, students will probably use the words big and little to compare the objects. Students may also use other descriptive words such as long and short or fat and thin. Next, distribute Activity Sheet 3. Tell teams to sort the objects on their trays into 2 groups, big and little. After students have sorted the objects, invite suggestions for other words that describe size. Students may use words such as large, giant, tall, huge, small, short, and tiny. Add these new size words to the properties chart. Finally, review with the class the describing words and the objects listed on the properties chart. As an extension, challenge students to look around the room and identify objects by size, using words from the properties chart other than big and little to describe object size. To conclude the activity, collect all objects and trays and return them to the kit. Make sure to keep the properties chart on display throughout the unit. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science readers, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.